Welcome to Econ with Wes. In this video, I am going to introduce you to what is a very important concept in economics, and that is the concept of demand. I will also be introducing you to the demand curve as well. In this video, we are going to look at a definition of demand. We will be discussing the law of demand, and also we will be looking at movements along the demand curve. So let's begin with a definition of demand, okay? Demand is the quantity of a product. Remember, a product could be a good or service. So it is the quantity of a product which consumers are willing and able to buy at a given price, okay? And when we look at a diagram, we will explore that definition in more detail. We will also come back to the law of demand. So let's have a look at a diagram, okay? And let's have a look at how you draw a demand diagram. So the first thing we need to do is draw two axes, the y-axis and the x-axis. We will label the y-axis P, okay? And P is for price. And we will label the x-axis Q, and the Q is for quantity demanded. Okay, let's draw a demand curve. Now the demand curve is a downward sloping curve because we always start on the left and we draw downwards, okay? So it is known as the downward sloping curve. So we would draw the demand curve. And we will label this D, and the D is for demand, okay? So let's just have a look at an example then. So let's just put in P there, okay? And then we draw a dotted line, go into the demand curve, draw a dotted line going down to the x-axis and label that Q, okay? So what this is telling us, okay, at this price, the quantity of the product that consumers are willing and able to buy is at Q, okay? So if P was, say, 50 pence and Q was 25, this means at the price of 50p, the quantity demanded, the number of consumers that would be willing and able to buy the product would be 25, okay? Now let's have a look at what would happen if the price increased. So the price increased from P to P1, okay? We draw a dotted line, we hit the demand curve, we draw a dotted line going down to the x-axis, and we will label this Q1. So this is now showing us that when the price increases from P to P1, because the product is more expensive, less consumers would be willing and able to buy the product at the higher price. This is the law of demand. So we can see that the quantity demanded decreases, okay? Now this also causes a movement along the demand curve from here at P, Q, to here, point P1, Q1, okay? So we can draw an arrow going this way to show that there has been a movement, along the demand curve. Now, this movement has come about because of an increase in price, so therefore demand has decreased. So when the demand decreases, we can see the quantity demanded has decreased from Q to Q1. That means that the demand has decreased. That means there has been a contraction in demand. So this movement is known as a contraction along the demand curve. Okay, now let's have a look at what happens when the price decreases from P to P3. Okay, so we're going to go along, draw a dotted line, hit the demand curve, go down, and we're going to label this Q3. Okay, so this time what has happened is that the price has decreased. And if the price decreased, that means the product has become less expensive. So as a result, more consumers would be willing and able to buy the product at the lower price. So the quantity demanded increases. And we can also see a movement here from this point here, okay, which is PQ, okay, to this point here, which is P3, Q3, we can also see another movement along the demand curve from here to here. So this is also a movement along the demand curve, but this one is not a contraction because demand has increased from Q to Q3. There has been an increase in demand, okay? So this increase in demand, this movement along the demand curve is known as an extension along the demand curve. Okay, so just to recap, when there is a change in price for the product, when the price either increases or decreases, it causes a movement along the demand curve. Okay, so a change in price of the product causes a movement along the demand curve. Let's just go back and have a look at this, the law of demand. So the law of demand states as the price of the product increases, the quantity demanded will increase. Okay, so when the product decreases in price, more consumers are going to be willing and able to buy the product, so demand will increase. But also when the price of the product increases, the quantity demanded will decrease. If the price increases, it means less consumers will be willing and able to buy the product, so the quantity demanded will fall. Therefore, there is an inverse relationship between price and quantity demanded. I hope you enjoyed that video on demand. I hope you found it really interesting. I hope you really understand the concept of the demand curve well. If you did enjoy that video, please like and subscribe to this channel. Look out for future content videos, and thank you very much for watching.